Roommate exposed us to toxic gas. I am not the OOP. OOP is impressive low 9767. Roommate exposed us to toxic radon gas. Originally posted to our legal advice. Original post August 31st, 2022. I, 26F. Live in a 2-bedroom apartment with my 19M roommate. My roommate has a collection of clocks and old electronics he keeps in a case in his bedroom. I received my radon detector from a friend 3 days ago. He had high radon levels, 5 pCi/L, in his house, but got it mitigated and now it's down below 1 pCi/L, and wanted to give it to me as he didn't need it anymore. I turn it on, and after the warm-up period, see that it's reading 224 pCi/L, not 224. In the main room, I move it to my bedroom, close to his, and it's maxing out at over 500 pCi/L in my bedroom. My apartment lobby reads at around 3.5 pCi/L. I did some research and the radium clocks do emit radon, but not nearly enough to cause that big of a spike in radon levels. I question him when he gets back from work, and he panics a bit, and tells me that he has around 13.5 millicuries of radium. He shows me the cabinet, and there's a vial of radium paint, a lot of shavings in glass jars, lots and lots of clocks and gauges, what he calls Soviet radium scales, old US Army radium discs, and other items with radium. It's obvious how the apartment was contaminated, and I worry the radon is leaching into the rest of the apartments. He's been here and had his collection for over a year. Levels this high are basically unheard of and can cause cancer with ease. So I'm worried I might lose my life over this. Obviously this isn't my landlord's fault. It's the roommate, so what do I even do here? Does something like this break the lease and get my roommate and all his radium kicked out? Can I sue him if I get lung cancer out of this? What is my next step? Relevant comments. Hazel Raw. He said millicuries, and not microcuries? Are you sure? If it was millicuries, you need to stay far away from that cabinet if it's not lined with lead, including whatever is the opposite side of the wall. At that point you're looking at a significant source of gamma radiation on top of the radon hazard. Does he have a Geiger counter? You need to report this stuff now. That's an absurd amount of radium to have lying around. OOP replied, from my research, he'd be over 13.5 microcuries after his first 14 clocks. Since it looks like each one of those is 1 microcurie, so I'd assume it's millicuries. Most of the items are in lead containers. He took them out to show me, which is how I know about the full collection. The clocks and gauges aren't though. He does have a Geiger counter and told me the dose rate a foot from the cabinet is barely above. Background. Clearly the lead and plastic bags aren't blocking out the radon though. Sir Wired. Well, you can call the Wyoming Department of Environmental Quality and/or the federal EPA and ask what to do. Be prepared to move out immediately, as it's not far-fetched for your apartment to be declared a hazardous waste site. You are not going to be held to your lease if this happens. Do not suggest to your roommate that he throw this stuff out in the trash. You can't even throw out old smoke detectors, so the likelihood that he can safely throw this stuff out is zero. He certainly cannot do so legally. OOP replied, if the apartment is destroyed by the radiation, will I be in trouble? Or will he have to pay for all the damages? Flip Daily. You are probably going to want to contact the Radiological Assessment Program, which is part of the Nuclear Emergency Support Team. The Radiological Assistance Program, RAP, is the nation's premier first responder organization for assessing radiological incidents. RAP advises federal, state, local, and tribal public safety officials, first responders, and law enforcement personnel on steps to protect public health and safety or the environment during incidents involving radioactive materials. Update post removed. Update recovered via Wayback Machine. January 20th, 2023. Update. Roommate exposed me to radon gas. I forgot about this throwaway account. I figured I should update this post. The day after I made this post, I slept in my car. The next day, I went in wearing an N95 mask. I can't get vaccinated for medical reasons, so I carry them around to get my stuff and leave. 19M was gone. His radiation detector on the kitchen table. I DK where he was, but I didn't care. Using his radiation detector, I was able to figure out the actual dose rate in my bedroom. 70 microsieverts an hour on my bed. 350 times over the natural background. Using some of the resources I was PM, I calculated around 1.1 sievert per year, adding up the excess radiation and the radon. Considering the background is somewhere around 0.005 sieverts per year. That's pretty damn bad. I then entered 19M's room to document exactly what he had in case my landlord wanted to blame me. The radiation detector began alarming. I took pictures of the cabinet. When I placed the detector inside it, it went into overload, so I couldn't see the dose rate. For legal reasons, I will not be sharing the photos of the cabinet. Finally, I tested my belongings for radiation. While there was a slightly detectable level, from what I learned, radon daughters decay completely after 40 days. And I never got a reading over 0.5 microsieverts per hour. I texted my landlord that I was leaving and terminating my lease due to the radiation hazard. Attached the pictures I took. Grabbed everything I could, including 19M's radiation detector. I shouldn't have done this from a legal standpoint, but I wanted to be safe. And left for my mom's place. I made it there safely and immediately showered. I don't know what happened to 19M, and I don't care. If I was exposed to 1 sievert of radiation, which seems correct, I have a 5.5% chance of dying from this. I have a damn good chance of making it out alive, and that's what matters. To the morons in my PMs demanding naked photos of me, messaging me with memes or insults, or telling me to drink essential oils. Piss off. I DK why this happened so much, but it made it really hard to find the actual helpful resources. I'm as safe as I can get. This will be my only update. I am not the OOP. Damn. I wonder how you can develop such an intense and specific collection of a notoriously dangerous element and not fully understand its hazards. Okay. But why the hell would you not report this to authorities? The roommate could literally kill the next people he's living with. Also, having a paper trail in case OOP does get sick seems super important. I was expecting someone who mixed bleach and ammonia, not a full and unshielded radioactive materials collection. Good God. Unfortunately, if the landlord and/or property company is anything like the ones where I live, they'll hush it up and do as little as possible. She didn't contact anyone? She just told his landlord she was terminating the lease due to biohazard and left, and that's it. The landlord just shrugged and was fine with that? Edit. Corrected the gender. So from the update, it sounds like OOP didn't bother informing any regulatory entity or health and safety organization and just left. Meaning it's likely that the landlord is the only person who knows if any mitigation will be conducted. And if they're scummy, they'll just move a new tenant in. OOP is just as bad at this point as the idiot roommate who hoarded radioactive materials without telling anyone and without buying any detector.
What?
OMG, I would be incandescent with rage. Figuratively, and probably literally as well. Must 70% of BORU posts end in oop being harassed by Redditors? I genuinely can't imagine how socially inept you have to be to read this post and think it's a good time to ask for nudes. Someone who is good at the economy, please help me budget this. My family is dying. Stop buying radioactive clocks. No. He took them out of their lead containers to show me. Smart. There's a lot of radon here? Let's expose ourselves even more. Oop. I'm so scared. What should I do? Reddit. Report it. It's incredibly dangerous and can and will kill people. Here are sources on who to call and what to tell them. Oop. Update. Okay, so I didn't listen to anything you said. I gave the information to the one person other than the roommate who has vested interest in continuing to cover it up. And I don't care what happens to anyone other than myself. I'm reminded of the story of the nuclear Boy Scout. Kid collected material from old clock and watch dials and smoke detectors and made a nuclear reactor. Basically turned his neighborhood into a radioactive disaster area and exposed himself so badly he would never be allowed to work in any profession involving radiation. I think he ended up committing suicide as a young adult. Edit. Per replies below, it was apparently an OD. Sad story all around. Edit Redux. Revenge of the Edit. I'm still saying young adult because I'm not old yet, damn it. Hopefully Oop called the authorities on this. That stuff isn't something amateurs should have. I'm nervous that this wasn't actually reported to anyone. I tried Googling things like radioactive apartment Wyoming to see if there were any articles about an apartment building being evacuated in the last 6 months and found nothing. Story has been reposted on a handful of websites but nothing major. I guess it's possible that if a government agency is involved they might keep it quiet until it's worked out? I don't know, man. Hopefully the not posting pictures, for legal reasons, means there's something going on. As a person who likes to collect things, bruh, this here scares the shish tea out of me because I like certain vintages items too. But I either get a replica or check and ask what manufacturers it is. Because even if it's very old, if the items itself or it's covered in very toxic substances, it can still make you sick. Why didn't Oop call the fire department? If you don't know who to call the fire department and let them figure out who to call. That's terrifying on so many levels. I really hope she reported the roommate and his stash to the authorities. This reminds me of the case of the radioactive Boy Scout, David Hahn. I would bet you a lot of money that this dude read about David Hahn. He was a Boy Scout working on a merit badge in nuclear energy, and he ended up deciding to build a nuclear reactor in his backyard. He obtained a lot of nuclear material from smoke detectors. And he traveled around with a Geiger counter and bought radioactive clocks and even found one with a jar of radium paint, just like this guy had. Ultimately it was discovered, I forget how, and his home became a Superfund site that had to be cleaned up. Because there was so much radiation, the rest of his life was sad. His mother later committed suicide. No idea if it had anything to do with all the radiation she was exposed to. He went on to be in the military but was obsessed with radiation and later went on to steal more smoke detectors to get their radioactive components. He later died of a fentanyl and meth and alcohol overdose. My parents go to Montana and sit in a radon mine to heal their aches and pains. They pay to do this.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.